So there's no more excuses to say that I don't know how to do anything these days. You all just need to ask. And the moment you start asking, I guarantee you that plenty of people will offer their help, their knowledge, their resources. But you must make the effort first, right? Nothing was going to fall into your lap anymore, right? These days, you have to push hard, you have to sacrifice, you have to make an effort. But the time is really right to do anything right now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Startups Zone Talk. Today, an amazing guest, Cheah, the CEO of GoCar. Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thanks. I know you're quite busy. I see you all over the country, even all over the region.
Yes.
So thanks a lot for making the time.
Yeah, part and parcel of the business.
That's great. Thanks so much. We start first with your introduction and let us know a little bit where you're from, where you went to school, what kind of student you were, and how.
I'm a very bad student. So
very
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So I'm basically Malaysian, right? Born and raised here. So I started off my school in Bangsa, right, which is many numbers of years ago. And in the case of student, well, I'm an adequate student, right, and good enough with grades. And after that, I went off to the uni in England, which is University of Portsmouth, right?
Nice.
And I started off as I study. What did I study? Sorry, see, I can't remember right.
It's not that long ago,
yeah,
right?
no, it is very long. It's about 20 plus years ago.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so it's computer science, I think, if I'm not wrong, something to do with computers. Then I came back to Malaysia, and what I did was that I thought I had an interest in computers and servers and networks. At that time, networks is just all cables. There's no such thing as Wi-Fi, right? And so I studied for it again, which I took up all the Microsoft network certificates. I did Cisco network certificates.
The mandatory certificates.
Yeah,
right?
all the mandatory certificates for networks.
For network.
Yeah, went into that business. I got a job somewhere with one of the big company that does all these networks and so on and so forth. Barely working 2 years there, it was really boring because for the sake that when you're dealing with servers, it's a very lonely job.
Yeah.
Have you all been to server rooms? I'm sure you all been to server rooms, right?
I was in the same area.
Yeah, you're in the same area?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you go sit in the cold room all by yourself. Yeah, so then I gave up that job and came up and do my own business.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ran that for a couple of years. It did very well, and then we sort of became sort of complacent. We didn't notice the downward trend of the trading business. So we continue pushing for it, thinking that it will turn around again, but it didn't. So everything
trading
that
of what?
we did a lot of import-export of children products.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was during the 2000s. So we made a lot of money, and then after that, because we didn't notice the downward trend, we lost a lot of money too, right? The point where we need to sell house, sell cars, and that sort of stuff. So it was a really depressing moment nearer to the end of the 2000s. Then after that, I got a job in Hong Kong, Singapore, doing a lot of marketing projects based on F&B and so on and so forth. So that went on for a while, and then I met another friend which introduced me to Magic, right? So Magic is the Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Center. So it was started in 2014 under Cheryl Yeoh. So then, so I joined the company as the marketing director, which my job is basically to market Magic, our products, our workshops, our events to basically on the regional demographic, right? So that went on for a while, and during that time, I met the founder of GoCar. Yes, that's how the story started.
I see the picture now. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe we can dig a little bit more into the what you just mentioned. Like you started in IT or IT science. You were in the server rooms and you do networking, but then you move, like your own business first, and you moved into marketing.
Yes.
How easy is that, or what is like? Okay, you said the job was boring, but what was really the trigger? How do you figure out that maybe marketing is the right thing to do for you, or like starting their own business is also quite a challenge? What was the trigger for you to figure out that was the right thing to do?
At that age, which is early 20s, right, the trigger wasn't that hard, because you get bored easily when you're early 20s. And as I mentioned, right, the server rooms are really boring. And you don't get to see people, you don't get to meet people, and for a fact that go against my personality. I actually love to engage people and I love to communicate, right? But in the service, you only talk to hardwares. So then I came out and I was offered an opportunity to basically either join another IT company as one of their engineers, or invest in another company that does the trading and all this kind of stuff, right? So of course I choose the trading part because I'm actually very good at marketing products, right? But you didn't study for it, that's the thing, right? It's not in my degree, it's not in any part of my certs. It's just that you have a knack for it, and you start growing that knack so it become a skill set, correct? So then what happened was that after the business failed, I came out, and you're going to make a lot of hard decisions. You have to ask yourself, look, am I fit to go back to the workforce, or do I run another business? But confidence level is like crap, because you just lost so much money.
Because you just killed your own business.
Right? You just kill your own business. And luckily for me, I have people who appreciate my ability to market products, which then he invited me, why not you come to my company, help me to rebuild my marketing team for all my businesses. So that gave me back confidence.
Nice. And obviously that's what you did well or great. And then Magic discovered you, right?
Yes.
Join us.
So that's what happened.
Okay, let's move into GoCar, and you just mentioned it. Like while working at Magic, you met the founder of GoCar, and so how did that work? How did that journey really work or kick off for you and for GoCar at that time?
Well,
that was in 2000 what?
That was 2015. Yes, around there. The timeline is a bit off because I can't remember all the months already now. So I met TJ, which is the founder of GoCar, and that time we became friends. Right? And he told me he wanted to come back here to build a business because he see there's a gap in the transportation system. Because at the time, 2014, the public transportation in KL is already building up, which means that, but there's still a lot of verticals which is missing. And one of the verticals is basically car sharing, right? How do you reduce cars on the road? Yes, you can use ride hailing, you can use public transportation, but there must be another need that you need to fulfill. And at that time, the only thing available or very close to car sharing is basically car rental, which is a big and there's a lot of process involved to get a car, right? Whereas in Australia, there's already a company doing car sharing, which he found very useful to the community, to the society there. So he decided to bring that similar platform back here. So what he did then was that he started the MVP, the minimum viable product, back in Cyberjaya, right? Because it's easily acceptable, it's have more support. So that's what happened. So as we go along the whole process, I was nothing more than an observer and sometimes just an advisor in terms of how to market the product, how do you market that, the service that you have, and so on and so forth. So we interacted more, and he did ask me to join GoCar by the end of 2015, which I couldn't yet because there was still a lot of responsibilities on my side, and I feel that, I can't contribute much to that startup yet. Then in 2016, it's when we were invested, GoCar was invested by the Tanjong Group, Berhad, which is one of the conglomerate in Malaysia that deals with holding the franchise to Nissan, Renault, and various other businesses. Right? So at that time, he thinks that, hey, Alan, it's time for us to scale, and I need someone to scale with me. So can you come and join us as the Chief Operating Officer? And that is how the history of GoCar started.
It's interesting, especially the year 2015 is when I relocated here to Malaysia also. And one of the biggest challenge I had is like to rent a car.
Yes.
It's no joke. I was like, just when I was driving here, it's like, yeah, I just remember now, like that it was a big pain. So I came here, I'm not sure if I wanted to buy the car or not. Let's just rent the car for a month. Wow, big issue. Everything I had was like web pages, but some were outdated. So you call, so, oh, no, we don't do it anymore. I was like, oh, you pay like this amount. It's like, wow, for this amount, I can almost buy the car only for 1 month. And then once we found someone, we rent the car. It's like the car almost broke down when we opened the door.
See, you don't see that with GoCar.
Of course not. But at that time, right, as I said, there was no GoCar yet. So,
oh God, in 2015, there's only 5 GoCars.
Yeah. I could never get one of those. But the interesting thing also, when I discuss with friends, right, like what is the problem with like renting cars here? It's like everyone mentioned like, wow, Malaysia is one of the countries where you have the highest ratio of like household versus cars. Okay. I don't know what is the exact number, but it must be like 80-90%, something like that. And I was wondering, is there even a business, right, for really car rental, car sharing? And then I saw GoCar coming up with this idea, and I was like, not sure if that's really working. Obviously, it worked out.
Oh, today, yes, very much.
Today, what, 250 locations?
Oh, no, more than that.
More than that already?
We're near the 300 right now.
300 locations?
Yeah, near the 300, and now cars, we have about 600 something.
So all the cars are owned by GoCar, basically?
So the cars are owned by Tanchong. To be fair, right, which is our parent company. So we have a different arrangement when it comes to utilization of the cars. Yeah. But it's still it's owned by our group. It's owned by our group.
No, just to make it clear, right? It's not a car sharing in sense of like my personal car.
No, it's not a peer-to-peer. It's not a peer-to-peer.
What was the decision against peer-to-peer platform?
Well, for a fact that we needed cars quick. You need the cars consistent. So the easiest way to do it is to basically own our own fleet, right? And running on the peer-to-peer business, I'm not saying that it can't work, but then you have to manage many layers of user experience, you know, because now you have to deal with the car owners, and then you need to deal with the car renters, which is, I'm already having a big headache dealing with users because of you have to make sure that their user journey is seamless, is easy to use, and you know, that sort of stuff. Then now you have to deal with the car owner side as well. So I think it's easier that I become the car owner. I own my entire fleet, and then in terms of that also, it helps us to save a lot of costs because now I can manage the servicing, the spare parts, so much easier for me, right, than managing so many other types of cars.
Sure, okay. Let's see, mainly you're in the Greater KL area, but I know you also have like, you launched in what, Penang and Johor so far?
No, now we have in Perak.
Perak?
We have in Seremban.
Nice.
We have in Langkawi as well.
Oh, okay.
Nice. So now we have about almost 6-7 states on this side. So the only one lacking is Malacca. So I'm not sure. Most probably soon.
Soon? Can you share more of the plan or not?
Well, the plan is always to scale and to be able to fulfill the demands by all the users in various states, right? Because we found out based on data that different state requires different type of services, right? That's why in certain locations we only place at certain urban areas. At certain locations we focus a lot on commercial areas. That sort of things are happening. So in terms of expansion, the focus for the next 3 years has always been expand the locations and increase the number of cars. Like you mentioned just now, the ratio of household to cars is very high, which means there's a huge opportunity for us to replace those users. So that's the plan going forward.
Interesting. I just come back to that question in a moment. I just want to check one on East Malaysia. So is that also a reason for the moment? You're targeting that also, or is it not?
Not yet. Like I say, at a different state or different demographics, people use the car differently. So we are looking towards that direction, but we also are doing a lot of research to make sure that car sharing is useful as a service to the community. Because we are not here just to scale up the numbers and look good. We must make sure every time we build a new location or build a new product We are here to provide a valuable service. And we must make sure that all the cars that we put in are utilized highly, right? What's the point of growing the big number of cars, 10,000 locations, but no one's using it? Because you're not providing a service, right? It's just to make your company look good. So for us, we are looking to basically to make sure that the moment we go in, we are there to provide a good service or a good value to the society. Yes.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. So talking about the demographics you just mentioned, now I'm wondering really like then who is using really the cars? You always have a lot of data on who is renting the cars, how long they are renting, who are the people really renting the cars?
Well, as I mentioned, different states, different requirements, but the majority of the demographics actually come from Klang Valley right now. So that's why we are looking into a lot of commuters, people who doesn't own cars, people between the age of 24 to 40 something. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's a wide range.
Yeah,
right?
it's a wide range, right? Yeah. But for the fact that some of the data come from other states as well, right? So in Klang Valley, we will get most of the data coming back. Yes, they're between 24 to 45. It is getting younger because recently we just opened up our age limit. Last time we stopped it at 21. So now we drop it to 19.
Oh, okay.
Right? Which means that that user base from that age group is increasing. So I think the next 3 months, if you ask me the same question again, the demographics will
change a bit to the younger age. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Because that's also like where they cannot maybe afford to buy a car yet, right? Yeah.
And we keep encouraging the parents, stop buying the second car, right? Get them to use a proper alternative transportation. Exactly like my team, right? Joelle does that, right? She manages her time, she knows when to get on the train, come out the train, she knows when to take Grab, she knows when to take GoCar. So she planned it very well.
Okay, nice. Yeah, nice. And you said like a lot of commuting is also like a lot of weekends. Like if I want to take the car, go to Genting or go to Penang.
Correct. And during the weekends, right? If you turn on the GoCar app, so we have two colors. One is green and one is gray. Green means the car is available. Gray means the car is not available. So if you turn it on during the weekends, you'll practically see all gray, right? We have customers complaining to us. It's time for you to put more cars in, which is a problem I love so much, right? And yes, so we are putting in more cars, but it comes to a point of time that certain locations we can't pump the car fast enough, right? Because it keeps being taken out, and if the same users became friends, and then you call up and say, "Hey, Alan, I thought I asked you to put more cars there." I say, "I did." It's just that you don't get to use it.
Nice. That's good, yeah. I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, right? Very good problem to have. I love it so much.
Do you have a lot of foreigners or tourists using the service also?
Yes.
Is that like a segment you're looking
we do. But that's not a big segment because you want daily usage, right? And tourists comes and goes following a certain period of time. Some are high peak season, some are low peak season. So the majority of our users are actually local Malaysians, or at least people who works here and stays here, correct? Yeah. As for the tourists, they do encompass a certain percentage of our user base, but they are not frequent users because like I say, they come and they go, correct? So that's why we have a lot of cars in the main transportation hubs, which is the airports, the train stations, and the LRT stations. This would effectively capture all the tourists that's coming into Malaysia, and then they just pick up the cars at the airport and do all their I don't know, touristy things, and then they just park the car back in the airport and they just go off.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. I know you have given a lot of interviews over the last time, and of course the typical question always pop up, like how it differentiates the car sharing to the ride-hailing service that we have. So I'm not going to ask you that. No
Excellent.
But of course I'm wondering, like there are more companies doing the car sharing or the renting, right? And even recently I saw one of the popular ride-hailing, they are offering now cars for rental. But how do you differentiate, or how you make sure like you stay ahead of those companies? What differentiates GoCar really?
I think the service that you mentioned by the ride-hailing is renting the car with a driver. You still get a driver, so you're not renting the car.
Oh, it's not the car only.
Yeah, so
that puts it away.
So we've seen that before. And as for how we stay ahead of any competition. So one of the best thing is every time people ask me about competition, I don't really view it as a competition because the market segment is so big. We need a lot more resources to basically bring the awareness into Malaysia. The awareness of alternative transportation, the awareness of how do you maximize your resources when it comes to transportation, right? So the more people doing it, then it creates awareness faster, which solves some of my pain points. But in terms of strategic advantages, so one of the best thing is because we are invested by Tanjong Group, right? Which means that it comes that we have the advantage of taking their resources, taking their knowledge, taking their strategic networks across Malaysia to basically complement GoCar services. That's why we can scale so fast. You know, I say I want to go Penang, and next thing you know, we open 20 locations there. But for the fact is because we already have a support system, right? Tanjong will tell us that, okay, we have service centers in Penang, we have service centers across Malaysia. Anytime there's something wrong with your car, we can send it for service just like that. We have tow trucks readily available to tow your car if there's something wrong. We have human resources to help you replace the car, service the car as and when you need. So I find that to be a very strong advantage when it comes to, as compared to other companies, right? Which then, you know, we are supported by one of the oldest and strongest transportation vehicle in Malaysia, the Tanjong Group. So which means now we can leverage on their expertise and their knowledge to help us grow our business.
So the service level, also the security of the cars, I mean, it's quite important. It's obviously higher than other.
Yeah, so I'm jumping on that, right? I always like to iterate. Every time you get an investment or you want to get a joint venture or anything, right? Make sure that it's a strategic partnership. Someone that can bring value to each other, not just money and not just, you know, mentorship and all those kind of things. Make sure it's something strategic. Right?
Important.
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now the company is still very young, only 3-4 years old.
Correct.
Or like when you start, that's quite impressive how that developed. How do you see the biggest challenge during that time frame? Like overall, it can be like technology wise or resource wise. What is the biggest challenges that you were facing during that time? 2
key challenges. One is always the users, because you are educating users to use a service that is new to the environment and new to ecosystem. So which means that you have to create a lot of awareness. First, the awareness have to come that, look, you all must learn how to use alternative transportation. Next, now that you know how to use it, you must know how to take care of it for the community, because a lot of people start treating the cars like their personal property, right? And then sometimes they just trash it. So there was a lot of, we have to do a lot of mind shift when it comes to our users. 2, that is an obstacle would be the technology. So, but that is an ongoing thing, right? It's nothing new. Every year you face limitation in your technology, and then next year the technology will become available. And then that's why the pain point changes every single year. So if you see our first version of our tech, and we go look at it, I was like, wow, we actually did that, we actually used that, right? And then now you look at our new generation, and then you see, wow, this is so cool. But I bet you 5 years down the road, we'll look back at the
you will do the same again, right?
Why did we send this out? So that will be always our key obstacles, right? The rest is part and parcel of running a business, operational issues, stakeholders management, but those are part and parcel of running a business. But the 2 will be always the users and also the technology part of it.
Okay, great, thanks a lot. Let's talk a little bit about the resources, human resources, because I see you do really a lot and amazing. Obviously, people love to work for the company, so see the social events, and also you do a lot of events like with partners or customers, even customer engagement. So how do you see that from getting talents and keeping talents in the company? What is your take or your point on that? Like even like getting talents in, or like what do you consider being talents?
So when we first started the company, that time there was only 5 of us, which means that we, in order to scale, we need to get talents to come in to help us to scale. And it has to be talents that understand the pain point of growing a business, right? And it's just not a fun startup and come in, sit the beanbag, chill and drink coffee, right? So there must be an element of for that person to sacrifice her or his time or effort to grow something big. So this is one of the first few things that we did every time. So what I did when I first came in the company is that I reset the culture. I reset the culture in a way that I want everything to be transparent, I want everything to have clarity, and I want to keep things simple. And that's the value going forward. And we, of course, by now we have expanded all these values, but that was the three key values that we adopt when we first hiring for GoCar. So every time when we hire someone new, we always ask questions that determine that person's personality, right? We hardly hire just because of the degrees, which uni you come from, and so on and so forth. We always ask questions that determine your personality and your attitude when it comes to working. And from there, we always tell you, look, I'm more than happy to hire you as long as I can determine that your attitude and your personality fits into the GoCar culture.
Okay.
Everything else, it can be trained, right? Whether marketing, BD, admin, that sort of stuff. The only 4 things that I think that cannot be trained are basically, specific specialties, which is legal, accounts, science, and engineering, medical.
You need to have a certain degree.
Where you have to have a certain knowledge
to
to do those things, right? But apart from that, we are more than happy to hire, especially when we find that you have the right attitude. Because all we want to know is that, are you willing to sacrifice your time and effort to help us grow the company to certain level, right? And a lot of people don't have that kind of, because you see, when we interview, I actually have people come to me, yes, Alan, I can do a lot more, I can work more. But the problem is that we only have 24 hours a day, right? It doesn't matter how much more you want to do. It's just that, what can you sacrifice to give out their time or your effort to help us build the business, right? So that's always been imprinted in our team. So until now that we have, how many years already? We are 3 years down the road. Our turnover rate is very low, right? Joelle is one of those that joined us early days, and she just told me that this is the longest thing that she's committed to. Which is great, right?
It's a good sign. I mean, people want to stay with the company, obviously a really good sign. And,
yes. So after we've done all that, the culture building and everything, but it's just not building a culture. Then you start using the team culture to basically create relationship and partnerships with your partners, with your users, with the society. So we want to spread this culture out so that people understand the value that we bring to all the communities and the ecosystem. That's why we run so many events, and our events are not big, right? Our events is basically touch base with all our community to understand what's your pain point. Have we done anything right? Can we do something more for you? Things like that. Okay, great. I see we're running out of time. I have a lot more questions. I need to check which one is the most important question I should ask. We can do part 2.
Maybe we should do a part 2. Maybe more on the technology part next time.
Okay.
So let me focus on this question. What's next for GoCar? What's the next big thing we can expect from the company?
Okay.
That you can share with us already.
Can, not a problem. So GoCar is always very simple. GoCar is always looking on how to create better values for our users. That's it. In terms of tech, yes, we're doing a lot more things. In terms of products, we're creating more verticals. In terms of the reward points, better usage of product, whether we can subscribe a car for by months, by 3 months, that sort of things. But these are just products, right? So what we are focusing on is to how to make the user journey even more seamless than it is right now. And how can we lower the barrier of entry so more people can understand how car sharing can contribute to the entire transportation ecosystem. So what we are doing right now, because we have the volume and we have the scale, is that we're looking to drop our prices even more, right? And I think that is a very important part of how we're going to expand the business. We need to lower the barrier of entry for all our community. And that's what we're going to do, focusing on the next few months and a few years.
Amazing. Okay, excited to see that.
I know.
And of course, wish you all the best. I know you will succeed because you succeed with a lot already, so that's amazing.
Thank you.
And maybe one last question that we have. Well, you shared before that you made the change from corporate to your startup, and then, well, you even you change like your designation, right? But what's your message to the young entrepreneurs today? Those come out of university and want to launch a business.
Well, for the young ones that just came out, or anyone?
Well, you can open it to anyone. Of course, you can open it.
So what I always tell everyone when I'm doing mentoring or when I'm doing sharing, right, is I always say that right now the time is right to do anything, right? We have the right kind of resources, we have the right kind of knowledge transfer. As in all this, you see, you guys are transferring knowledge, right? We have the right kind of technology to get things started. So there's no more excuses to say that I don't know how to do anything these days. You all just need to ask. And the moment you start asking, I guarantee you that plenty of people will offer their help, their knowledge, their resources. But you must make the effort first, right? Nothing was going to fall into your lap anymore, right? These days, you have to push hard, you have to sacrifice, you have to make an effort. But the time is really right to do anything right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Great. Thank you very much
You're
for
most
this,
welcome.
and thank you very much for coming here, for your time. Again, appreciate that really, really
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks to the audience. Thanks to you for watching. We hope you like this episode, and we see you then next week for another one with Homan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Patrick.
Thanks. Appreciate it.